Joe Badelli, Chief Revenue Officer here at Propy, and I want to welcome you to episode 81 of Propy's weekly webinar. This is November 4th, 2021. Happy Thanksgiving if I don't see you on my next webinars coming up here in the next few weeks. And just note, we will be live on November 24th. I did find someone who will join me the day before Thanksgiving, but today we got Chip Ridge with Millennial Title. Chip is the president of Millennial Title. He has over 20 years experience in the title industry and opened his first title company back in 2002. After building his company into a success, he sold to a regional bank in 2007. In 2015, he opened Millennial Title in Tampa, Florida, and has since grown to 7 locations with licenses in 23 states. Is that right, Chip?
Yep, and we're actually, we've got a couple more states we're excited to announce in the coming months.
Oh, go ahead and announce it here on our show if you like.
But cutting news. Well, I have to be careful. We are opening, we are getting licensed in Texas, having an office in Dallas, but we're not taking orders yet. So I want to be very crystal clear. I don't want to get myself in trouble with the regulators in Dallas and Texas, because that's a whole animal in itself. But
and then we also, I'm going to bring up here, but I want to talk a little bit about what is encrypted estates, and we're going to come back to that. But first, I want to cover, You are a graduate of Washington and Lee, got your MBA from the Owen School at Vanderbilt University.
Yep.
Married with 4 children. More importantly,
that's what they tell me, Joe.
Hobbies.
That's what these kids are telling me.
That's right. Hobbies include golf and horse racing when not watching the kids' sports. And folks, if you have kids out there in any kind of sports, that is a work in itself, especially have multiple kids on a Saturday, getting into multiple locations. But Chip, welcome. Yeah, we're just anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself or Millennial Title?
Oh no, thanks for the introduction, and Joe, thanks for having me. We're excited. We really are excited about our relationship with Propy, and we're looking forward to building a long-term relationship. And we're also just embracing what's going on in the blockchain and the crypto space. And so anytime that we get an opportunity to share some insight and hopefully bring some educational tools to listeners, we think that's a valuable time spent. So thanks for having us.
So, and folks, one of the main reasons I would love having Chip on today, Chip recently presented at a Miami association related to blockchain, crypto, and real estate, and gave a fabulous presentation. But he really walked through what is the process to utilize a title company when you have a crypto transaction. And that is what we're going to dive in today. But a shout out for you agents out there that want to understand more about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, how it intersects with real estate, and what does it mean for your future real estate. Propy does offer a crypto certified agent course. Just go to propy.com, Propy.com, go to products, select the third one, crypto certified agent, and you can read everything that the course has to offer. Check that out. So Chip, we've seen a lot of crypto activity, I would say, in the last 90 days. I mean, I'm hearing from my partners out, even in Northern Arizona, closer to the Grand Canyon than Phoenix, of buyers wanting to buy a home with crypto. We obviously know there's Miami, there's Austin, Texas, there's Southern California, but many areas now, even in the heartland of the US, where we're seeing some crypto buyer requests. So today, if you can tell us, kind of give us an overview, what's the process for a title company?
Yeah, no, good question. And I do want to just set a little bit of context as well as we talk through this, that, some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about there's different options that can be made. And then also, some of the stuff that we're talking about, there's sort of what's the here now, and we'll touch a little bit, I guess, Joe, at the end on sort of what's coming, because I think as I share with people who are interested in this space, specifically real estate agents, brokers, real estate investors, and then also people that are interested, crypto holders that are looking at diversification plays, the playbook is evolving, and there's a lot of evolution going on right now, both on the banking side as well as on the insurance side, and then obviously on the Propy side with regard to the technology. But we'll talk about the here and now today. What I do share with people is, because the word crypto comes into a conversation, it should not sort of derail what you've learned to date. So as an agent, I always talk about, we're still going to do most of the steps in a very traditional manner. And so for the people who are going to be watching or listening in on this webinar, we always start out with the contract. I mean, we always say contract is king. And so if you've got a buyer or potential seller who brings it up and says, hey, I would like to transact. I've got some cryptocurrency that I want to use for this transaction. Or you've got a seller that's like, hey, I'd like to market this as that I'm accepting Bitcoin, or I'm going to accept some type of cryptocurrency. At the end of the day, we're still going to end up in a pretty traditional model, at least in today's world. Now, once again, there's some evolution that we believe that's going to occur, but for here now, you got to make sure you're still going to write the contract itself in fiat terms, US dollars. I'm assuming most of our listeners or watchers are here in the US. I don't know if there's people in other countries, but whatever the rules and regs are regarding currency in those municipalities or countries would prevail. But the delineation, Joe, would always still be in $2 million. We're not going to put in there whatever the ratio is of Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of these other currencies. You can, in the contract, put in their terms and stipulations regarding, I'm going to be using Bitcoin or I'm going to be using cryptocurrency. But remember, we're still going to be talking about fiat dollars. We every reference, and that ties back to a lot of different things that have to happen from a legal standpoint, especially as it relates to title and title underwriting. So, so that's sort of one anchor comment that I always have that I want to make sure that's clear to people, is that you don't write in there that, okay, I want to accept 100 Bitcoin. I mean, I just, that could waver anyway in today's market. But people get a little twisted around what's the ratio, what's the currency, what's it going to be. That'll all come in as we get into the process. I mean, we're right now, we're focused on getting the fiat dollar. So we'll start there. We write the contract. If you do have a buyer that's going to be using cryptocurrency, and there's potentially some verification of funds that have to occur, and it's going to be cryptocurrency, then that's the step that you would need to engage some type of account so that you can place those funds. And so we work with, currently we work with a couple different companies. BitPay is probably the one that most of people are, if they've done anything in this space, are familiar with, and they're actually very easy to deal with. It's actually a lot less intrusive, or it's not that hard to do to actually open an account with them and place your Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency you want. We work with another company called FormPay, very similar. There are other companies you can use to do that. So that's sort of the step one of the process. One of the things that the next big step is if the buyer, so we're going to talk about the buyer side of this, is going to be using your cryptocurrency, is to identify, Joe, early on, are they going to use the crypto as collateral. So they're going to go out and a lot of times, most of the use cases that most of the clients that we work with, if they're going to have cryptocurrency, they don't want to trade that cryptocurrency and convert it into fiat dollars at the time, maybe at the point of sale, because there's cost basis involved, and there's other they want to keep the crypto, as they say, what's the hodler, they want to hold on for dear life. So they end up, what we do is we work with them, and they'll find a crypto collateral lender. So somebody where they can go place their crypto, and they can actually convert that into dollars. So they're gonna pledge their crypto, and then they're gonna get a ratio of that. And once again, there's a lot of different companies out there that do this. And I would encourage, if that is the route you're going to take, one, that you make the title company very aware of that you're going to be working with that group, because there's some mechanical and logistical things that are going to happen. And then two, that obviously do your due diligence and you're comfortable with whoever is going to be providing that. But so that's sort of an early step that needs to be taken, so that everybody. The big thing that, Joe, we really focus on is the communication aspect as well. Because there's cryptocurrency involved, a lot of times what we find is certain parties of the transaction might be concerned. Is this person, what are they, do we know their background? Do we know, do they really have the cryptocurrency? Do they, whatever. So I think it's really important that if you're an agent and you're representing a seller, or you're a party to the transaction, that we like to say we really all over communicate. And I think that's where, like, a Propy and the tools that Propy has, where you've got a technology base there for communication and being able to actually index what the steps are in the process. And Joe, feel free to jump in and sort of talk about some of that stuff. I think that's super important on the front end, because that alleviates, and I think that gets people more comfortable with the transaction, and that it's not, it's a little different than what they're usually used to. So I'll shut up and maybe.
Yeah, I'll jump in here first. If you're just joining us, welcome to this episode of Propy's weekly webinar. We have Chip Ridge, president of Millennial Title, and we are talking about how a title escrow company handles crypto transactions in real estate. And later, if we have time permitting, we'll talk to Chip and get his thought on where blockchain will be going in the future of title and escrow. But to recap for what Chip has brought up, if you're an agent out there and you have a buyer that wants to pay in crypto, just say yes, it's possible. We have title companies like Millennial Title that can handle it. If you need help from an agent standpoint, or if you're a homeowner and seller happen to run across our videos, just reach out to propy.com. We have crypto certified agents that know this process, that will be working with title companies like Millennial Title and Chip. And they can walk through what the process is. But back to your agents. Not every cryptocurrency is the same. So you need to be mindful. This is one of the reasons why Propy launched its crypto certified agent course, right? And the first thing I advise to agents, if you hear of a cryptocurrency that's not one of the top ones, it's not Bitcoin, it's not Ether, and I don't want to brand cryptocurrencies here. I don't give financial advice as well, so don't ask. But if it doesn't sound like one of the majors, just ask the individual, okay, are you okay to exchange it to a stable coin? Stable coins are backed by $1. So if they're okay by doing that, then okay, spend some time. If they say, no, I don't want to, and you don't recognize it, there are some out there that try to scam agents saying, hey, I have $1.5 million. Here's my proof of funds, all the documents, but that can never be converted out. And that's where you need to be mindful and have some education. And it's just a little bit of education, folks. In fact, I'll do a plug for next week's episode. I will have a couple of our crypto certified agents on next week's webinar. And we're going to talk to what they knew before, what they learned in the course, and more importantly, how are they applying it to reach crypto buyers? How are they applying it to understand crypto and blockchain? And Chip's discussion today, and we'll continue in a minute, is really to start helping you understand, so it doesn't scare you off. It doesn't make you pull away. It's not too difficult to understand. I'm almost 60 and I'm getting it. I have my wallet. And if you do wallet, I will recommend Coinbase because it will remember my password. And
Yes.
I don't know when I start losing my memory, but I don't want it after I have money in there. So that's one little advice. So Chip, let's talk a little bit. So I'm an agent. I only play one on webinars, folks. I'm not a licensed.
Yeah.
I'm an information management specialist. But all right, let's say I'm an agent. I have a crypto buyer. And yes, I know the seller's going to get cash. Seller doesn't even need to worry about this. Doesn't even need to go to the seller side because you are exchanging it and you're the escrow company. You are the one exchanging it. What would you advise the agent to explain to the crypto buyer? What is the next process? What do they have to do so that they're set up to actually pay with crypto? Let's give some agent takeaways here.
Yeah. So then there's really a couple paths. Like I said, the one path that we see that's actually most recently seems to be the soup du jour, if you want to call it that, is the if they're going to be using the crypto for a collateral loan, is just really the timing mechanic of that, because there's KYC, AML, and that's know your customer, anti-money laundering steps that have to be taken as part of the process, the conversion and so forth. So it's important that this isn't just in the traditional world, just go to the bank and get a cashier's check or send a wire. There's going to be some timing elements of that. In a lot of what we also get, Joe, concerns about, a question just popped up about how long does it take? What we see is typically 7 to 14 days for a crypto loan. It's a very different process than a traditional loan. I mean, I don't know if you've had a guest on that does them, but they don't do, like credit checks. There's none of that. I mean, they're really just underwriting the crypto and making sure that the crypto is there and that the crypto gets parked. And really the biggest thing for the client side is just getting comfortable with whoever that provider is going to be. How is the crypto going to be held? What happens to the crypto? Because where we're going to really drive that usually, Joe, is once the transaction is complete, once the buyer has title and is closed out, a lot of times they're going to go back actually and go to the traditional banking route, get a refinance or sometimes so they can go and repurchase their crypto from the crypto lender. So they're really, at least in today's world, those collateral loans are set up to be 6, 12, 18-month type loans.
So it's basically a short-term loan. And folks, we've had John O'Shea from Helio Lending on, founder.
Yes, we work with Helio, and yes,
that is one example, and that's when a buyer they want to use crypto to back a loan to buy a house.
Yeah.
Okay. Another scenario is, all right, let's say I'm mid-20s, I'm living at home. I have, $1 million, $2 million in crypto, but I may not have a job right now. And I certainly can't qualify for a regular traditional loan, but I am willing to use my crypto to buy property.
Yes. So
what's your process there?
Yeah. So at that point, it's crazy. It really does almost feel like a very traditional deal in the sense that we would partner up. We would connect you with BitPay or FormPay. You would open
and BitPay or FormPay, that's the exchange that will then help them exchange it from their crypto to fiat, of which then traditional method follows.
And then FormPay or BitPay would transfer the money into our escrow account and we would disperse it in a very traditional fiat way. So the big thing there that we always share with people is just the timing mechanics because of some volatility as we've seen in the marketplace over the last, 3 to 6 months. We just counsel because a lot of times agents especially are like, what if it goes to here? Or what if it goes to, crashes or what if it does this? I mean, I'm just say,
Oh,
look,
and I'm sure agents have never gotten what if questions.
yeah, yes. So what we really focus on with them is understanding that it's really just a comfort level of what their buyer is when they're willing to mechanically do all that. I mean, we can actually accept the money into escrow 15, 20 days in advance. There's nothing that precludes us from doing
All right, so
that.
let's bring
Yep.
back. So folks, I should have just changed the title. This is removing the what ifs of using crypto to buy.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
so now we've covered, all right, I'm a crypto buyer. I can use my crypto. I can take a loan against my crypto with like Helio lending. And now I have cash to submit to your escrow and I go through the process. So not much learning curve for agent or parties involved. Second scenario was I am a crypto buyer. For whatever reason, I can't qualify for a traditional loan. So I want to buy the property with my crypto. And then your escrow companies has all the steps, understands, we'll walk them through what to do. They just got to reach out to Millennial Title. What did I say? You're in 23 states. And
Yep.
folks, if they're not there for you, reach out to me, joe@propy.com, and we'll find you another one of our partners in the state you're located. So that way you as the agent can take care of the crypto buyer. Because again, at least if you don't have a crypto buyer, folks, you should understand where blockchain is going to be revolutionizing the real estate. Because it is not only real estate, it's going to revolutionize every market out there because of the benefits blockchain bring. But in real estate, when we have KYC, we have ML, we have regulations, and not just blasting out people's private, personal, identifiable information. You want a secured platform. You want folks that have done it and know what they're doing, so that way your client is protected. All right, so is there another?
Joe, I'll add on to that, because one of the things that we run into is people that come to us and say, well, hey, I've already got crypto. I've got a seller that's willing to accept crypto. Why do I even need a title person involved? We're going to do a wallet to wallet exchange, and he's going to sign over the deed to me, and we're going to go on our merry way, and we're going to save a bunch of time and money. My cautionary tale there is that the exposure level that you're bringing on to yourself as a buyer, and even potentially as a seller, is tremendous. And you don't have an insured transaction. Two, you potentially don't have an actually authorized, in the sense that if the title work and the deed is not done appropriately, you open yourself up to a ton of exposure. And three, working with the Propy and working with the Millennial, once again, affords you a lot of the protections and that blockchain bring, and that also general escrow management and transaction management bring you, so that your client is not exposing themselves. There's a ton of discussion around, will they even need title insurance in the future? And will they, and we're not here to argue that at this moment. What we're here to say is there's buyers and sellers that want to transact in this new digital currency, and we can help them get there. How it evolves is something that will play out over the next years and as we go. One other thing, Joe, I will say, and we've done one of these, and it's perfectly legal, and we were involved, and I think our involvement had a value add. Was we had a buyer and a seller who had negotiated a contract, and it was for 10% to be paid in crypto and the balance to be paid in fiat. And so they did an actual wallet to wallet exchange on the 10%. We did serve as escrow agent. We did not touch the crypto, but what we did do is we held everything else in escrow until we got the proper verifications and the sign-offs from the buyer and seller that the funds had actually been transferred, verified by both parties, and the authorizations for disbursement and recording were given to us, so we could still ensure the transaction. And there was a fear, well, what if they don't send me the crypto? Well, guess what? The documents that we're holding will be destroyed, just like a traditional. We do what we call dry closing. We destroy those documents. The transaction essentially is everything is pushed back out, and everybody goes their merry way. They've wasted a lot of time, but nobody is getting hurt. Same if they say, well, what if the seller doesn't sign the transaction? Well, we are holding the deed in escrow. We legally, as a licensed title agent who's regulated, we can't file that deed until all of the disbursements have been done. So the seller's protected. So there is that scenario, Joe. Haven't seen a lot of it because that really took two parties that were both fairly engaged and what I like to call the crypto knowledgeable or crypto comfortable. And that what we're seeing is typically one side or the other. We haven't seen a ton of both. But.
Excellent. So now we got three scenarios there, Chip. Hey,
Yep.
I did notice we have in our live audience, and folks, we do stream live on Facebook and Twitter as well, and LinkedIn. So in our live audience here, I know I've seen some agents in there as well that I recognize. If you agents in our live attendee audience here have a question for Chip related to cryptocurrency and title work, please go ahead and type it in the chat window, and I'll be more than happy to ask Chip. All right, so those are the three. Have you had a scenario, or let me ask you, when's the last time Millennial did a crypto transaction or dealt with crypto? How long ago?
About 2 weeks ago.
Okay. All right, so relevant.
Yeah, very relevant. Now, what we are seeing, I'll be very candid, we have seen a little bit of a shift. I would say we had a lot of hits in the spring and summer. I'm almost suggesting, and I don't know what it is, that we have not, our pipeline is lower than it was. And I attribute that a little bit to the run up. And I'm just like that. I think people in the crypto space are enjoying the crypto, and we're not market players. And we'll talk later. We're more focused honestly on the blockchain and some of the great things that blockchain.
Let's segue into that. So I think our audience would really love to know from a title company, because you brought it up. Folks, Propy's been around since 2016, right? And early on, when we started announcing in 2017, Propy and blockchain, that's how far back we go in real estate and blockchain. It was like, oh, you can replace title. Oh, your land registry. Oh, Propy, didn't you just get the Technology Pioneer Award at the World Economic Forum because you can act as a land registry in developing countries? And folks, that's important because to create generational wealth, property is a key driver. And in some developing countries, they don't have the title registries that we have here in the United States, or I should say, North America and some parts of Europe, to the same way. So having ability and putting title onto blockchain that does serve as an immutable record helps facilitate that. So let's talk about, what does a title company believe blockchain holds for title companies moving forward?
So there's really two layers of that I'll take a bite at. One, on the transactional side, we see the payment rail system leveraging blockchain as a very efficient way to transact, using digital currency, using the blockchain itself for security, for efficiency. So you're not having to go wire money manually from your bank, and that you don't have that potential, fraud issues that come up. Not to say it's totally foolproof, but it definitively eliminates a lot of the challenges that we in the traditional escrow world live in with regard to fraud and wire fraud specifically. So we see a real advantage in the payment rail system as it evolves, and people using digital currencies, using stable coins, getting paid out in stable coins, and being able to really leverage the what I like to call the digital currency treasury management platform. So that's sort of what I would even call an early use case opportunity that is probably closer to reality than it could potentially be as early as next year. The second layer is more of the deed on chain, where we're actually putting land records on chain of title. on the blockchain and essentially taking what now is done in a lot of cases, either a manual process at the land records or a, scan in at a digital archive document. Having titles on chain eliminates a lot of elements of fraud, because the whole practice of immutable and trust and so forth, and the fact that everybody has to verify it on the chain takes away from that ability for me to go sign an illegal deed and file it. And if the clerk records it, it's on there. Now, you could argue what happens after that, but we've actually seen that firsthand and seen people actually have financial, negative impact from that. So the blockchain offers a lot of opportunity. And then you guys can talk about the tokenization, which I think is marvelous and all that. So we see just so many elements that real estate could really take advantage of and make all of our lives, frankly, a lot more efficient and a lot more secure, and then open the marketplace up, which is what's so exciting to me, just so much more people to participate. I think that's the really exciting part about it.
Great, thank you. And for you agents out there, if you have a client, they want their title and deed on blockchain, just remember Propy's transaction platform does record the title and deed onto the blockchain using Ethereum smart contracts. Chip, you've been great. Thank you very much. We're at the bottom of the hour here. We will continue on our crypto month of November. Next week, we will have some Propy crypto certified agents. They will explain a little bit more about the crypto certified agents and what it's meant to them as an agent. And I do know I see one in the attendee list that will be on next week. Sonia, thank you very much for joining us as well today. After that, we do have on, I look at the date, the 17th of November, we will have 4 agents from the agency talk about what's going on with crypto and NFT requests in their marketplace, specifically Palm Springs, California, and Miami, Florida. And then I will move into the Northwest. Hopefully it's snow time the day before Christmas. And we'll have Long Dawn from Realty Group in Minnesota. And I am starting to book webinar guests for December. If you're watching this video and you're representing a brokerage or a good part of the market, or you want to talk about crypto, blockchain, and real estate and what it means for your local area, joe@propy.com. Reach out to me. I'll put you in contact with our marketing folks, and we'll get you scheduled as we move around the U.S. to keep you updated on what's going on in real estate related to blockchain and crypto. Chip, any last words? I'll give you the last words here. But before I give you the last words, I'd like to welcome Gwyneth Iredale. She's Propy's Senior Customer Success Manager. And for those of you in attendees, if you'd like to see a demo of Propy's platform, stay on the line. It'll be just for those live audience attendees here. And if you are watching this and you want to be joined in on the live audience, so you can text me, ridicule me in chat, or ask our guest questions, go to propy.com, resources, webinars, and sign up to receive the notifications of Propy's weekly webinar. Chip, a couple takeaways for the agents and our guest audience out there.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, the biggest thing is what you all are doing here is awesome. And the agents that are participating, it is about education right now. And it's about just staying engaged and staying informed of what's going on, because it's going to continue to evolve over the next 12, 18 months. And I think if you're looking for a value proposition for your clients, having that understanding, be able to know, we always say a lot of the questions Millennial might not be able to, or encrypted estates might not be able to answer specifically. But what we've done over the last 12 to 18 months is we've built a network that we can activate and get informed answers for them. So it's as much about your sort of circle of influence that you're building as it is about, knowing every minute detail and minutia of what's going on, because we know that it's changing and there's new regulations coming out. And a lot of this is very municipality driven. If you're doing something in Florida, it might be different than what goes on in Arizona or California. And I can tell you it is, but just staying engaged. I mean, so doing these type of events and being involved, I think is a huge step in the right direction.
Chip, thank you very much. On behalf of Propy and this week's weekly webinar, thank you for joining us. And for those attendees, stay on with Miss Iyer.